Hey guys, it's Matt. Bill, as you can see, has been hard at work. No pun intended, considering the theme of this poster. I have lots to show you, where he combines a disdain for modern culture and the not milk with a twisted sense of humor to produce posters that only could be shown in a place like this. I mean, talk about a picture's worth 1,000 words. I could do an hour on each one of these posters. And by the way, let's do our little disclaimer. And none of this is phobic or phobia or whatever. We have the right to push back, no pun intended, if it's going to be pushed so hard on us, not just this month, every month, then we have the right to push back for its over presentation. And using the word push, no pun intended. It says here, Call of Booty. Remember we covered Call of Duty a few weeks ago, where the Call of Duty's trying to be inclusive. It's the #1 game for the last 10 years on modern and urban warfare with realistic urban warfare settings and real weapons you can choose from, machine guns, rocket launchers. But then you get, remember I said your glitter sticks, you can get your skins. You put your different color skins on your machine guns to be, that's somehow inclusive to certain lifestyle choices. Well, I understand what Bill's doing here. We're tired of it. All of us, we're tired of it. We need to push back in our own way, no pun intended. So Call of Duty, Bill proposes, and why don't they do this to be inclusive? Call of Booty says in the middle here, someday we'll call all the months ours. That's the attempted conquest. Not just June. Every month should be dominated by this group. I propose we just do it now and get it over with. So there at the bottom left is Call of Booty. We'll just say blank certain skins. He's offered up his own type of skin. Maybe Call of Duty will actually that's a Gatling gun, right, Bill? They should incorporate his Gatling gun design, not the design of the mechanism, the design of the rainbow skin. And then he proposes here, we probably will see this soon, as Zara tries to climb all over the microphone. No, Zara, I know you're really interested in the Call of Booty poster here. Will there be the raising of this flag? The famous Iwo Jima, where all the soldiers, I know it was a photo op, but, it's not my first rodeo here. But the raising of the flag, they'll do in Washington, D.C., the raising of this flag, and maybe modeling those raising the flag instead of the soldiers in the Iwo Jima famous, shot and image that we know today that's been replicated into so many different statues. Maybe they'll, as Bill proposes here, they might use the village people to raise the flag. One final thing here before we move on to the next poster. I want to highlight the village people here for a second. Variety of different things to discuss, just a few minutes. To the Mandela effect triggered, just 45 seconds I want to talk about this. I promise I won't mention again for the rest of this video. The Mandela effect triggered are going to turn me off. Many people don't remember No Army Man. See that guy in the middle? It's a Mandela effect for a lot of people. Now, I'm not saying it is for me. I only say it's a Mandela effect if I say it's an anchor, or I'm almost 100% sure. An anchor effect, you're basically 100% sure. But there was no Army Man from my perspective. But, did I have village people posters up all over the wall between my Heather Locklear and Heather Thomas? No. But it is odd to me. Everybody remembers the policeman. He was the main guy. And the guy on the left, with that mustache, I wanted to be like him very much. I mean, in the privacy of my own home, I got the leather. I'd glue cat hair all over my chest. It was 6th grade. I couldn't grow no hair. No, I couldn't grow no mustache like that. Certainly wouldn't go into my elementary school looking like that. I would have been, run out. But, everybody remembers the construction worker and the cowboy. By the way, if he tried to audition at the Dutton Ranch, with Yellowstone's Dutton Ranch looking like that, he wouldn't do too well either. But the Army Man issue is a bit odd to me. Regarding the songs, I always liked Macho Man. Always thought that was a catchy tune. Macho, Macho Man. Yeah, I liked it. The other songs didn't do anything for me. I didn't even understand the YMCA song. You think, it's fun to stay at the YMCA? It's fun to stay? That didn't make no sense. It still doesn't. To me, YMCA as a kid, that was a place where there was a pool or a handball or racquetball court or some weights or place for kids or something like sports. It's fun to stay. Every time I heard it, that ain't no hotel. That ain't no youth hostel. What are these people talking about? They go in and sneak in the middle of the night and stay there until the kids come in the next morning. So that I didn't like. And what was the other one? Oh, in the Navy. Oh, you can sail the seven in the Navy. By the way, most people don't know this. That on its own ruined the recruiting for the Navy for years. For years. That's why they had to do, I think, Top Gun with Maverick and Top Cruise. Tom Cruise to get the recruiting back for the Navy. They came out with this song, In the Navy, You Can Sail the Seven Seas. There's a lot of tough guys that were going to sign up, go into the recruiting office just the next day. And they, oh, hell no. This is who they get to recruit. They thought the Navy actually commissioned the Village People to do the recruiting effort. A lot of tough guys were going to the recruiting office and they went, oh, hell no. That's what Greg would be. I'm not going in there. This is who they're looking to get. Guys like that, they're going to be that construction worker, that cowboy going to work on the flight deck where the damn F-14 Tomcats take off. Oh, hell no. They lost thousands of recruits. And they said, shit, we need to rectify this situation. We need to remedy this. Top Gun with Tom Cruise. Well, they promised everybody that walked in that recruiting office, you can be a fighter pilot. And then you know where they ended up? The damn kitchen with Steven Seagal making that bouillabaisse in Under Siege. This poster here is a real glimpse into the mind of Bill. You have like a Brady Bunch thing combined with American Psychos. Psycho, but he's put a plural to it. The download is represented, the not milk, consumerism. I mean, if you were to literally give this poster to Carl Jung, he would give up his practice if he was still alive, whatever he was doing, whatever books he was writing, he would study this one poster for the rest of his life, and he still wouldn't be able to fully understand it, but we're going to do the best that we can. Let me do a close-up here very briefly for you. Somehow Bill has morphed the American Psycho face, Christian Bale, as he played the part roughly 20 years ago at this point, on every single member of the Brady Bunch. With Jan, that's Jan there, and then in the dress, Jan is the American Psycho. Greg is the American Psycho. Cindy Brady here, look what he's done with Alice. Alice, the housekeeper, is the American Psycho. Just pointing this out. By the way, the AI can't do this. Only Bill can do this. Let me do another zoom in here. The middle part will get larger over the next minute. But Bill has a very unique graphical representation of the download, the human download we witness in everybody around us, our friends and family. And see, if you're on the download, then you are on the ship of fools. And then by definition, you're also the American Psycho. That's what was being presented in the movie. That whole thing about Christian Bale as a murderer, that was just to get the popcorn crunchers to think that's what the movie was about. The movie was basically a metaphor for what the American populace was evolving into. That's what the endless consumerism, the endless look at me in the mirror. That's what the movie's about. So the arrows that say download point down. It says your friends, family, coworkers, neighbors. At the bottom it says not milk never nods off. NNNO. Not milk never nods off. It's the Terminator. It'll put as many people on the download as it possibly can. At the top of the poster is the famous business card scene, I believe, where Christian Bale as the American Psycho, he's becoming concerned, I believe, that his business card isn't as good as the others in terms of the amount of cotton in the paper. I don't even know how would you measure one business card against the other. He talks about embossing or something like that. His stuff always has to be the best. At the bottom it says consumerism on steroids times 1,000,000. And if you were to give this poster to Carl Jung, it would take him decades to figure out what's truly being said here, but that sort of sickness, it's not just he was a Wall Street trader or something. It's now, in this modern era, funneled even into regular families and just the Brady Bunch, just regular red state Midwest America. That's all selfie and all the stuff that we laughed at in terms of the behaviors of the American Psycho. That's filtered. Imagine Cindy and Jan and Marcia today with their Galaxy 5s and their iPhone 666 and the selfies and all this shit. The Brady Bunch, the most regular people would look more like the American Psycho if the movie was made today. Is that what's being said here, Bill? I'm going to send this poster to both the Carl Jung Foundation and the Sigmund Freud Foundation. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce a new sponsor for the Old Fashioned Radio Show that will be incorporated in the next one we do. It's Colonel Bezos's and Colonel Gates's crispy chicken and nasty not milk nuggets. Get your family a bucket of uncooked chicken heads today. Just use coupon code Quantum of Conscience for 10% off your next uncooked bucket of chicken heads. Somehow he's put Bill Gates in there. He doesn't use any AI, by the way. AI is the devil to Bill. Won't touch it. Never will. I haven't zoomed in on the Bezos head yet, his form of Big Daddy, Colonel Sanders, but I bet it's the same. Let's see. 7/11, or July 11th, is Trump's sentencing date for his 34 felony counts, of which he was convicted on all 34 felony counts. Just a few weeks away, he will be sentenced. Talk about a picture is worth 1,000 words. How about 100,000 words? I could do an hour just on this poster. We'll spend a little time here playing out the scenario, the ridiculous, not no scripted scenarios that might be coming soon. And we're planned out and written out 5 to 10 years ago. So let's do the poster first. Top right. First days as America's first prison president. Let's move to the left under the eagle. Kids, get your own official U.S. presidential prison shanks. Bottom, collect all 33 shanks and get a free non-milk decoder ring. That's the image we saw before. President Trump on the phone in prison. They're delivering his first State of the Union by phone to the people. Memories like this is the Barbra Streisand, like the corners of my mind, misty watercolored memories of the way we were. President Trump's first State of the Union address, bottom right. Damn, I always thought POTUS meant prisoner of the United States. My bad. Prisoner. It does. POTUS now means both. That's exactly right, Bill. So, what do you think they're going to do on July 11th? If there's anybody new here, it's all a script, folks. It was planned out maybe many decades ago, every bit of it. Nothing is real. Nothing is legitimate in terms of what this judge may be sentencing or however this sentencing will be done. If the jury's going to be involved again in the sentencing, I don't know. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes it doesn't. I haven't been following it at all. A lot of the experts and pundits, the first day I followed it, I watched a little bit here and there, and the experts came right out and said, well, in this sort of case for a first-time offender, it's possible he won't get any jail time at all, just probation, which is basically like a reality breakdown for me. Again, the whole point of the felony, the difference in separation between a misdemeanor and a felony, is the felony then carries minimum standards for prison time, or I wasn't aware that under any circumstance you could be convicted of 34 felony counts and avoid prison. I thought that was the whole purpose of differentiating between a misdemeanor and a felony, so that give the judge more leeway or something like that. Most states are pretty clear. Like if it's a felony, it's like, oh, for this type of felony, whatever class, I'm no expert at it. Didn't pay much attention to my Penn State law classes, but it's this class, oh, it's minimum 3 to 5 year or minimum 10 year, whatever it may be. Then with the opportunity of getting on parole much longer than the sentence would dictate, but it's like a reality breakdown to me. In my old world, there's no possibility you could be convicted of any felony, let alone 34 in a row. It's 33 plus 1 to them, and then not have any jail time. As I've mentioned, guys, I can't imagine they're not going to, at least initially, impose jail time just to get, maybe they'll back off later or there'll be a quick appeal, whatever it may be, but at least initially, I can't imagine they're going to lose this opportunity to create more camps and more groups hating each other at the Thanksgiving table and more people flying Trump flags. And all of a sudden, all the American flags are popping up all over these pickup trucks in my area. And they're not flying the Trump flags just yet. They fly the huge American flags out the back or welded to the back of the pickup truck bed. It's all for Trump. It's not. Why else are they doing it? Of course, it's all related to this. But they're not. There's no way, in my opinion, they're going to lose the opportunity. Just say probation. That might. I don't know. I mean, it just sends like they're not going to do that. At least initially, some sort of prison time which will in some way, tie into the story. Like just like I tossed out about almost a year ago. Would it be he's going off to prison like right about the same time he's supposed to go into the Oval Office if he wins the election, which was already decided on decades ago, or or at least months ago. They're gonna have to use that, right? Even and then we'll get all these people talking, and all these people. Are you going to vote for a convicted felon? I mean, maybe the probation will or the appeal. He's got prison. This is of course they didn't get all dressed up for nothing. They didn't do all this for nothing. I mean, this to me, it's obvious will be the next inserted president. So he'll be in, and then it'll be constitutional crisis and can he pardon himself and all this. All it'll be theater. It'll be The Young and the Restless, The Bold and the Beautiful soap operas in the United States. I don't mean to confuse the Australians if you don't have these things. The Guiding Light, the As the World Turns, the General Hospital times a million on steroids, all the different angles, and then the probation could or the appeal could come through right before he's going to go into the Oval Office. I mean, come on, there's just no way. There's no way they're going to not take full advantage of this and on July 11th and in a few weeks just say, okay, the 34, if Trump agrees to not appeal or whatever, maybe they'll do a deal or whatever, the probation only. But there's still issues with that. Well, how does he campaign? He can't leave the state, or he needs special permission. All this, but they're not. There's no way. It just goes away, unless they have other charges coming. And that's the only way it could go away is if probation, 34 counts, felony counts. He's not going to appeal. He will be if you people put him in as president. If you elect this man, which we already decided on the storyboarded outcome months and months and years and decades ago. You will be putting in, although your vote didn't matter, a felony convicted president. Now, the only way they're going to just brush it off like that is if there'll be more counts or the January 6th thing will come up again, or there'll be other criminal proceedings hitting him. Then they can't have this hush money thing. That might be the way to introduce all the criminal charges coming or something. They can't have that conflicting with if there are other charges of any kind coming. Like, I don't know. I don't watch this, but whether it's that January 6th thing, that ridiculous cake in a lake, scripted, storyboarded thing where they probably did, half of them were, of course, it was all, they were catastrophe thespians. They were actors, of course, but they probably did rile up some real people to join them. But it was, of course, it was all staged. There was nothing legitimate about, what happened. Blank bot. What happened at the Capitol Dome is the apotheosis of George Washington. Look up, crowd. Looking up now, crowd, you can see the apotheosis of George Washington at the top of the Capitol Dome, where he's creepily pictured along Poseidon and Apollo and Zeus. What happened in the Capitol with this storming event, of course, all cooked up. But I think they got some real people, some real Trump supporters to probably go along with it and probably get in there too, just to increase the legitimacy of whatever they try to present on that day. They probably thought it'd be a little bit strange or a little bit not as natural if it was all actors. But so in other words, sorry for being long-winded. Will charges come from that, and if charge or from anywhere else, and if that's the case, maybe they will make these first 34 felony counts go away. In terms of him not go away, but he will be just on probation for that. But anyway, I don't know. We'll do one more. I'll probably watch a little bit, to see what the news is presenting. I haven't watched a bit of it. I have no idea where it's going. Maybe I'll watch a little bit to see what the not milk's leaking out, or what the presentation will be, and we'll do one more prediction show before July 11th. If I could direct your attention off to the right, that's the Melvin version of Colonel Sanders. Off his right shoulder, that's Elon Musk floating upside down in a spacesuit, right by the famous moon from the Georges Méliès, one of the original movies ever made, or at least the first movie of international fame, roughly 1905, A Trip to the Moon, where the moon took a shot in the right eye. They did the right eye symbolism right in basically the first movie ever made, the first big movie of international fame. So there's Elon Musk floating around. But this scene, of course, is from Django. That's Don Johnson playing Big Daddy when Dr. Schultz and Django approach. But in this case, Musk is approaching, and Big Daddy says, "So let me get this straight. Let me get this. You expect me to believe that you and your Jimmy, you climb into a tuna can and pretend to fly into space?" And Elon Musk would say, if he was there talking to Big Daddy, "We don't pretend to fly into space, sir. We go into space all the time." "You go into space? What did you say, boy? You go into space all the time?" "We go into space. My Dragon capsule goes up to the ISS to deliver gorilla suits and guitars and pizzas. They had a this is I'm not trying to be funny. They had a pizza party on the ISS. A guy was floating around in a gorilla suit. They play their guitars. Probably, I don't know, maybe the 40-year-old virgin's VHS tape porn collection goes to the ISS. And then Elon Musk would say, "I've got my Falcon Heavies," and they go up, and one end comes off, and then it flips around, and it lands upright. And Big Daddy, well, wait a second. What are you? I'm not buying this, boy. What are you doing here? What'd you say your name was? Elon Musk. You never heard of me? No. This is the 1860s, boy. What are you doing back in time here? Well, I'm asking you, Big Daddy, would you be interested in funding our Dragon capsule and our Falcon Heavy projects? Are you interested, Big Daddy, in being an investor in SpaceX? What if I said I don't like you? Then Elon would say, "Well, I got 5 billion reasons why you might, not 5,000, 5 billion reasons you might be interested in partnering with us." He'd, "Oh, why didn't you say so? Patina here. Show Elon all around the pretty grounds. How you want me to treat him, Big Daddy? You treat this Elon Musk here, you treat him like, what's that Peckerwood boy that works down there with the glass? Jerry. Elon Musk here, you treat him like you would Jerry." Now, guys, all joking aside, but there's probably no possible way to get through this segment without laughing. I have mentioned this before, but the character in the Georges Méliès, whatever, I'm pretty good with the French. I know that. Matt, you're not fluent? No, it's hard to believe. I know. Of all, the face of the moon is mostly 90% obscured. But if it looks like one person on this earth in any era or time period or decade, I don't think it's a stretch, and I'm seeing what I want to see. It looks like Elon Musk. If there's one face that played the moon that took the shot to the right eye, does that not look like Elon Musk? And it's not just any screenshot of the moon from the Georges Méliès. It looks like Elon. Now, what are the chances? Guys, this in some way, this is how this strange reality works. Many things here are unexplainable. It's not just like your friends are just chalk it up to a coincidence. It's all coincidence. Oh, everything's a coincidence. A coincidence. No, you know what? Soon you see that very little is a coincidence. It's a reality giving itself away left and right all day long. Of anybody it could look like, the moon character. It looks, to a degree, like Elon Musk. What are the chances? What are the chances? Not meaning or suggesting it's just at random, suggesting this is how the reality play games. How the reality plays games. So the chances is 1 in 1, 100%. Some of this one could be hard to see for some of you, so let me do a close-up and show you what we have here before looking at the poster as a whole. Over here we have the bust or statue of Keanu Reeves and Paul Walker of Fast and the Furious. There's Jennifer Lawrence as the Medusa bust head, Matt Damon off to the right with the Team America puppets, and looks like students or a tour group coming through as well. The top left there, above the arches, it says "Act Like Yourself, Acting Asshole Academy." This is the place for actors that only play themselves, that have no acting range, can only be themselves. Don't play a part. Just step out in front of the camera and make $20 million a picture playing themselves. So Keanu Reeves, okay, one of the all-time biggest culprits of this. But he has a personality we've all kind of, I don't know, warmed up to, and it's his own little thing, and it's, we kind of accept it, whether it be as a teenager playing himself in Dangerous Liaisons, trying to court Uma Thurman, right up through The Matrix. He's just being himself. There's no character or anything he's playing, but we kind of accept it like we accept the way Schwarzenegger acts. We've cozied up to it. Paul Walker, hey, rest in peace, Paul. Maybe you're David Bowie Island bound or whatever, but this is the biggest culprit of all time. Literally had no character he could ever play other than just being himself. I haven't seen him in a ton of things, but I just recently saw Timeline. It's the exact same character from The Fast and the Furious. And I mean exact, which must just be him. There is no character being played. Bill knows that Matt Damon's a big one for me here. We'll get to him in a moment. I don't think I've ever mentioned Jennifer Lawrence. It's a good one, Bill, because absolutely she only plays herself, whether it be The Hunger Games or Don't Look Up or Silver Linings Playbook. There is no character. It's just Jennifer Lawrence. And how big some of these actors are that just play themselves. It's strange. It's Matt. Maybe they're Rockenstein or Steiner family relatives, or they're or Roth or whatever. Maybe they have connections. Maybe, yeah, maybe, or maybe she is a reincarnate of that ancient that ancient Egyptian actress that looks just like her. Who knows the way this weird reality works? I don't think Bill's putting Patrick Swayze's here, cutting them up. He's not the greatest actor either, but he has some sort of a range. He doesn't belong in these hallowed halls. I think Bill's agreed. If anybody has good ones, of course, there's many we missed. Put it in the comments. Bill will put your recommendation, if it's somebody that just plays themselves, in these hallowed halls. This poster will come back again and again over time. Now, Matt Damon, look, he has a range of sorts. He is not Paul Walker, but for how big of an actor he is and all the different parts he's played. He's played so many different parts, whether it be the kid in Good Will Hunting or a knight in armor in the 15th century, and then the Great Wall, and it's all different parts he's played. For being in that many different types of movies, they're putting in a guy that basically you see Matt Damon first, and you see the character second, with one exception, Bagger Vance. Maybe because I like the movie so much that I do kind of see Captain Juna there. I don't just see Matt Damon. Bagger Vance, maybe I give that a pass because I want to give him a pass. But definitely a bigger range than some of these others. But for how big of a star and all the different things they put him in, it's strange. He doesn't even have to really try. Just go play yourself. The opposite of that would be, of course, like the Denzel Washington, where he literally talks about, I don't know, like taking on a demon or something during Glory, where he played a newly freed slave not in the Confederate Army, of course, in the Union Army under the command of from Matthew Broderick. He didn't say taking on. He didn't say a demon. A spirit of some kind, taking on the spirit of a real. He tried to seance it, have it affect us, and it did to a degree. It took over. They said the same thing about one of the all-time great acting performances of all time. Maybe this was the demon. Is the Joker, which was Heath Ledger, the deceased or potentially David Bowie Island Heath Ledger, who took on, literally they said he was possessed, took on the whole personality of a Joker, like there was a demon in him. Now that's the exact opposite of what these people are doing, playing themselves. I was going to say maybe they're afraid of the demon inhabiting them or taking on another entity attachment, but maybe they already are the demon. And like Jennifer Lawrence, for example, she can only play herself because that's all the demon. It's the original demon. That's all it's capable of. Maybe. Matt, if Jennifer Lawrence called you up and asked you out, you'd go out with her. No, I wouldn't. No, I would much rather stay home here with Czar and Fifi Addy Girl. Absolutely not. Oh my goodness, it's making my stomach turn just thinking about it. Bill, keep this one handy. We will be adding more actors, I'm sure, that can only play themselves. And that means their acting ability is just a tad better than those Team America puppets. Real news headline, Pat Sajak stepped down June 7th at age 77. June 7th, age 77, his last show. Vanna White will continue. Inquiring minds want to know. First thing you wanted to know, was Vanna continuing? Vanna will continue with Ryan Seacrest as the new host of the Wheel of Fortune. Now this tells you right there how not milk important the Wheel of Fortune is. Something very odd we've talked about for many years with the combination of Jeopardy, at least in this area, it was always Jeopardy first at 7 o'clock, then 7:30 Wheel of Fortune. They were back to back for close to 40 years or something like that. Talk about stalled century. And it's somehow, okay, in ways that are way beyond my pay grade, I can just notice what the Not Nilk's up to. It's part of the Not Nilk spell in some way. Even like the Jeopardy phrasing it in the form of a question. There's so many things. I remember getting into it in detail. I'm not prepared to talk about it now. I haven't thought about it for even a second in many years, other than the fact that Pat Sajak's stepping down. What exactly is going on here? I'm not prepared to talk about it, but it is very creepy, and it is very beloved by the Not Nilk. It's far more than just a game show and a place to fill a time slot. There's reasons why, if this was not extremely important to Not Nilk, it would have been replaced a long time ago. Because if it's about just making money, well, Pat Sajak and Vanna White's salary about 20 years ago got very, very large. You could do reality TV for basically for free instead of $200, $300, $400 million contracts or whatever they're getting paid. It's obviously not about the money. This whole solving the puzzle and Wheel of Fortune, it's some sort of metaphor for the dark part of Not Nilk reality itself. I'm not prepared to talk about it. Let's just go back to the basics then. Well, if you're not prepared to talk about it, Matt, why are you straying in these areas? You son of a beach. Sorry. He's leaving. Ryan Seacrest, right there. He's one of these huge Not Nilk do everything, pinch hitting puppets. Started with American Idol right back around the year 99 or 2000, and then does the, all sorts of different things. Ryan Seacrest, he's hosted the Oscars probably. He does the countdown or the ball drop for New Year's Eve and all that stuff, taking over for Dick Clark. Vanna's staying. So, see, Vanna could not have retired, in my opinion, could not have retired with Pat Sajak. It's too important they bridge this. Vanna is the way it's going to be bridged. That people will, it's still, now, all Vanna does is just wander around out there and touch letters, but it's still to older people, this is still an anchor to the show that they've watched now several or many, many decades. And Vanna, I'm sure at some point, well, she probably knows. Take that back, Matt. She knows has a sense as to how the dark reality works. She probably never even offered up that she would retire on the same day as Pat. She probably knew deep down that wouldn't go over very well. They need her for a 6-month to a year or even a 2-year bridge to get people familiar with now Ryan Seacrest. And now we'll keep watching the Wheel of Fortune, which does something for Not Nilk. So what I'm saying is, she probably would have liked to have retired. Maybe 15 years ago, he would have liked to have retired on the same day as Pat. I'm saying the way this dark Not Nilk does business, and the old guards, I'm sure, shaking their head like, absolutely. She was not allowed to. She needs to be this bridge to keep it going until the audience is comfortable with Ryan Seacrest, so they can keep it going for another 100 years. Now, the old guard knows I can't leave this topic, this Wheel of Fortune topic, without doing the Vanna White sci-fi thought exercise type thing I've talked about a few times in the past. So the image here is cradle to grave representation. So I call it the Vanna White bookends. How many people have been born? We'll do it together. We'll do the estimation now together. I'll look to your comments if I'm getting anything dreadfully or drastically wrong. How many people have been Vanna White bookends were born 1982 with Vanna White turning letters and died, say right up till today or yesterday, with Vanna White turning letters. All they've known in the world was Vanna White turning letters. Well, that's not all they knew in the world. You know what I'm saying. I talked about this with the Queen. When the Queen became 92 or 93 or whatever, I thought like the entire world is Queen bookend. All we've ever known is the Queen, other than like it was like one quarter of 1% might have known something other than the Queen. So I estimated that the basic Vanna White bookended is 1 billion people. Now, super bookended people, these are people. This is the estimate we really have to do. How many people were born and were put into the cradle where literally Vanna White was on television in the room in 1982 or 1983. It doesn't have to be exactly end to end, 1985, 1991. And then how many people on their deathbed died with Vanna White on television in the room, or that, not at the exact moment, but that day, or could be heard around the corner in the living room that day. This is called super Vanna White bookending, where the baby itself heard in the distance Pat Sajak or Vanna White saying, bye bye, say goodnight, Gracie, bye bye. This is called a super Vanna White bookend, and then it was there also in the deathbed. Okay, this is an intense statistical exercise, and there's two parts to it. If we do it right, it could become as famous as the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. We'll call it Vanna White bookending. Part one is just the basic Vanna White bookending. So somebody born in 1982 or after, born where Vanna White was turning letters into a world where she was turning letters, but it died in an era where she's still turning letters. So somebody that was born in 1982 but died, say, as of today or yesterday, was Vanna White bookended to the 1st degree. The 2nd degree, that's more interesting. They're the super bookenders. We'll get to that in a moment. And if you were born in 1982 and you die in a year or 2 or 3 from now, you still could be Vanna White bookended because she could still be turning letters for another 5 to 10 years. See, I can't be Vanna White bookended because I'm old. 1970. It was 1982 when Vanna White came in. So I got that covered. Whew, Matt, is that like a big weight off your shoulder? Does somebody that's Vanna White bookended have a better chance of like falling for an archonic trick at the moment of death? I don't think so, but it's possible. It feels like there's a weight off my shoulders because I can't possibly be Vanna White bookended. I put that at 1 billion people. Not that they even had access to watch the Wheel of Fortune. Just in general, somebody from Guangzhou province or whatever, it's the only province I know, like I've said, was born into a world in 1982 or after where Vanna White was turning letters, even though they never heard of her, and it wasn't on the local Chinese television station, and then died, last month. And they died in a world where Vanna White was still turning letters, even though they never heard of her, but they probably did. That person in Guangzhou was Vanna White bookended. Okay, we got it, man. Super bookended people. By the way, back to part one. You don't have to be born in 82. She's been turning letters 42 years, approximately. 42 years. So somebody that was born, unfortunately, in 2005 and died in 2019. That was very unfortunate. That young person was Vanna White bookended. All right, super bookended people, where this is where it really gets into an intellectual statistical exercise. If the people from Harvard and Yale and want to adopt this and Oxford and Cambridge for their classrooms, I don't need any royalties. Just take it, run with it, put it in your classroom. Okay, we're at babies born 1982 or after, where Vanna White was obviously on television, but it was actually somehow the first few days of life was on a television down the hall, or just a little, doesn't have to be right there. Like, Matt, how many newborns do you know are placed right in front of a damn television? I don't know about you, but I was put in an incubator. I was jaundice baby. I wasn't placed in front of a big screen television in 1982. What the hell's your problem? Okay, but maybe down the hall the nurses were watching. Just a little bit of Vanna and Pat trickled in to the newborn's ear. That's all it takes. I don't mean the baby itself was placed like an altar on top of the big screen, as it was just, it wasn't even cleaned up yet. That's not what I'm saying. Okay, relax. Just down the hallway, the nurses at night. Here comes a rerun of Wheel of Fortune of that day, and the baby's just heard a little whisper. And it's not just 82, 83, 84, 85, 91, 92. All the babies born that could have possibly heard, that goes right up till yesterday. Okay? But then the big part is how many, this would be like choosing to watch television on somebody's deathbed, and Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune and the news and the same TV shows of people. That happens to a lot of people into the hospital room, and then the damn television is on the same old stuff. And I've visited people in the hospital and different, saying it's the same old stuff on TV. This is much, much easier than the baby hearing it, whatever. So this is super Vanna White bookending, where they heard it basically within the first 5 days of their birth and heard it on their deathbed or the day before. Actually, the words of Pat Sajak and Vanna White. Man, you've been going on too long. This is not that interesting. I think it is. I've lost maybe everybody so far. I'm just talking to myself at this point, but I'll finish it up soon. But this is fascinating to me. So here's the thing. In it's shown in 24 countries now, Wheel of Fortune, but it's adopted. Like the Argentina version, it's in Spanish. It's not. They're not showing Pat Sajak. It's the U.S. version now is probably shown the U.S. version, even with subtitles, maybe 5, 6, 7, or 8 countries. Others, the 20 some countries, is adopted. It has a local host, not Pat Sajak, some local villain, some other woman or witch turning letters, not Vanna White. So, but back in the problem is to be the super Vanna White bookended back in the day in 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 90, 95. There wasn't too many countries, of course, watching Wheel of Fortune. Just say the U.S., parts of Mexico, parts of Canada. So, what was the U.S. population in 82 through 90? It's always the 33. It's always was it 330 million back then too. Probably every time I ever looked, I can always remember it's the 33, the population of the U.S. But say it was, I don't know, 280 million. This one's tough. But it's probably, a lot of people will be watching that dumb Wheel of Fortune on their deathbed. It really comes down to how many newborns heard it down the hall or whatever. It's probably 10,000 to 20,000 people. I mean, that seems like a lot, but if you're talking billions coming and going here and there, decades here and there, replacement, it's not that much when you don't realize how big the number 1 billion is. And no, I don't want to have a little sidebar conversation with the truth community when, Matt, the population numbers aren't real. It's not as much as what they say. No, I never heard that before. This is my first conspiracy video. I've never heard. I know all this stuff. I've been doing this a long time. I know, but I don't want to do that sidebar. All right? I'd say 10 to 20,000 people were super Vanna White bookended, where maybe the first words and the last words or the last images was whatever that thing was walking around. She was turning the letters back in the 80s and now just touching the letters. Matt, if you're super Vanna White bookended, do the archons have complete control and power of you at the moment of your death? Maybe. I don't think so. And through affirmation, even if they did through affirmation, you can just, if you're a real spiritual being, you could wave it all away yourself just by saying so. Why? If you're Vanna White bookended, you can just do away with it in an instant. Why? Because you said so. Thanks for listening.